approach to what I do normally. So I took a map of my section of the area and I inverted it to distort the image. I didn't think what you would actually see was more. I thought what I would. Sorry, the sound was more important than actually what I'd see in the map. So yeah, I got the image and then I cut it out. And these are the specific areas that I chose to record, or 3 of them, and then they're actually graphically correct. So I thought my image would be map-like, but with a twist. And then I took my recordings and put them in Windows Media Maker, and I selected visualization. So I would then put the sound, and it would be visual, but it would be accurate. And then I cut around the sound, and then I put it against the appropriate places. So this was actually from that recording, this from that recording, and like for the different areas. And yes, that's what I did.
And are they remain graphic images? Is that as opposed to 3D?
Yeah, like I don't normally do 3D work,
yeah.
But if I was to improve it, I would probably higher quality, and then maybe I'd experiment with cutting out and then making it like 3D.
Okay.
In terms of how we worked as a group, we had a Facebook chat and then also a Facebook page so people can post things and comment on it. And for the chat, we used it to schedule meetings or send each other links of our blogs and our SoundCloud, and tell each other how to use different medias, because all of us are doing different things, and some of us didn't know how to use particular sites or whatnot. And yeah, we just basically build our conversations on Facebook.
Something else that really helped us was using Google Docs, which Anna set up. And we set up documents and timetables where we could each edit it and kind of create even just a plan for what we're going to say today. We could simply do that on there and could each edit it. And we've got just pictures of lots of the meetings that we had in and out of uni time. And then that just brings us on to that our project has legs, and there's lots of different adaptations you could take from the research we've looked at. Initially, we were looking at the 5 senses map, which we each do a sense, and then the game board, which Ruby did. We've got it here on the laptop if any of you want to come and have a look. It's just, we'll leave it for you, a map of Cardiff, and it's got the different buildings which we've taken. So you can pick one.
Sensory.
So it's more of a literal sound map compared to our interpretation, like so comparison.
And is there a different one come up if I?
Yeah.
Oh yes, they're all different. Oh, there you are. I see them now.
Okay, clever.
Yeah.
We didn't know if to produce that into a sort of a game which we could develop.
Okay.
Where maybe you could guess the sound in a particular section of Cardiff. And Anna's just bringing over the different models that we created, which we'd like to put together as a piece of art.
These were jigsaw together, weren't they?
Yeah,
Yes.
ideally we were going to make a really big map of all of this coming together as in the different shapes of the sections, but we didn't have a lot of time to actually make that. So these are just samples of what we would do if we had that scale ready.
Have you considered that in order to, depending on where this object might be placed, that there might be one way of doing it that could be preferable to another? For example, if you were in an information tourist centre, one that actually had aspect of a map on it might be a little bit more easily interpreted by people who go there, because that's part of the expectation, but with a twist. Whereas if you were in an art gallery at the introduction to an art gallery, it might be that you could have something more ambiguous and more expressive, so that it might be that you go with the more textual kind of values there. You know, that, depending on where your audience was or who your audience were, it might be that you dealt with it in different ways. But I think you've ended up with some nice kind of blossoming possibilities with this project, actually. What do you think?
I really like it. This is a really nice possibility you can do. And all different ways of showing the sound in different sections. Even the interactive one, someone said about the real-time thing.
Yeah, the link up.
So you can even show that somewhere and see why it's quiet at the moment, in a quiet spot, or
That was the aim.
noise.
App. Yeah.
If someone new to the city wanted somewhere, for example, to go read a book or something, they could have a look at some of the QR codes, scan it, and find an area which was right at that time.
I mean, I think you've possibly done this, but really make sure that you discuss the possibilities of these outcomes. I think that the danger would be that you say, there's this, and there's this. You need to do that, but you also need to take time just to unpack and explore it, because they're each very viable, and you don't necessarily want them dismissed as just a list of possibilities. Again, I think that has to do with bearing in mind your audience. You know, who this might be before. It might be a tourist information centre, but it might be equally an app on a mobile phone, or, you know, so really make sure you unpack it and use the wealth of the rich ideas as much as possible in your reflection. Absolutely.
You got now a whole bunch of concepts. You decide one in your own blogs, in your own way, which you like the most, for what reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you. In the ideas, we've put you at the beginning of the final box and the beginning of the excellent box, because it's huge and wealthy, but there has to be that focusing down to one particular viable outcome, which could be different for each of you depending on what your interest is, but there needs to be that final drive to focus, so that will be accommodated in your blogs. And also in the negotiating as a group, I think you've worked exceptionally well. But again, because there isn't that a singular outcome, we've put you just in the end box of the very good, just kind of teetering into the excellent, because there just needs to, again, it's hand in hand with the drive towards a more focused singular outcome. I don't want you to see that as being penalised. I think it's really interesting the way in which, as groups, many of you have enabled that diversity to remain. Like working with a website and having you all kind of feeding into it, doing different bodies of research that ultimately come together. I don't want you to feel that that's penalising you for keeping that diversity open. I think that's part of the richness. I think that's what's enabled you to get to this stage and have those possibilities there. It just needs that next step into focus. All right, so it's a really excellent project.